Recording
really
in
important part of
progress.
our world today. We interact with our world in the digital domain much more than we ever have in the past, especially
Recording
really
in
important part
progress.
of our world today, where many of the transactions or interactions that we had with people in face-to-face mode had to shift over to the online mode. So it's not just, of course, online systems that require design of useful and suitable user interfaces and user experiences. Almost any product, service, or system does. But the way that you interact with the product can determine whether it's a successful product or a failure. Can you comment a bit on that issue about the role of UI and UX design in today's world?
Sure. Yeah. So I think any business needs nowadays UX and UI because everything is technology driven. And if everything is technology driven, you need to create systems where people can interact with them in a natural way. And to do that, we need to invest a lot of our time now doing user interfaces and creating user experiences for the people. So uh, as the customers, as the demand of technology is increasing, and as the competition in the market is increasing, so we need to basically create the systems which are easy to use, uh, uh, also easy to interact with,
Yeah.
and enjoyable to use. Just not creating something to use it, but also making a system pleasurable and enjoyable to use. So that's what the UX industry really helps in.
Yeah. And the contrast is, as we've all had the experience of a system or a user interface that wasn't intuitive, wasn't easy to use, required us to take extra steps, or even would take us down dead end paths in the user interface so that you'd reach a point where never get back to what you needed to do or never accomplish your goal. So, of course, in past years, the classic example of that was the voicemail system that would never take you to the person you needed to talk to. And that's an example of a very poor interface and a user experience. And that we too often replicate that in online or physical product worlds.
Yes.
And that can cause a company to fail, not just a product. But
Correct.
this is why this course and expertise of people like Vishu will help you avoid that horrible fate and instead get to the much better goal of something that people are delighted with, something that people want to tell their friends to buy. So,
Yeah.
what do you do as a UI UX designer? So there's a whole series. Can you describe this flow for us, Vishu?
Sure. Yeah. So as a UX designer, it's basically umbrella, and you do a lot of different activities under UX. The first main function for the UX person we have is the strategy, building a strategy built on target user groups. So you focus on people as a target, for whom you need to design. You do think from a perspective of who will be your users. And to understand that, we conduct interviews to understand the user. We try to really know from them what they need and then build a custom experience for them. So first, knowing from their end what is needed, and then we try to solve those problems and find a solution for it. And during that process, we might create flow charts, we might create storyboards, we might create user flows, we might create task flows to do that. And the UX is always research driven. So you do a lot of research and testing on the user behavior, how users behave. And during that process also, we talk about different uh, topics like information architecture, doing user research, prototyping, wireframing, And there are a lot of other things which comes around that job as a UX designer. And we try to maintain the competitive edge. So that's the main thing. So you might have similar app for the similar services. So how to stand out in the market? And that's our motive to do it as a UX and UI designer,
Yep.
and
Thank you.
to
But,
finally get the business.
and so understanding how the product fits into that flow and that environment, ties everything together so that you end up with a product that satisfies
Mm,
the goals that you identified from your target users and
yes.
and delights them. But we talk about, here's a sample job description. It's a lot of text to read, but I'm just going to kind of go over it. Um, this this is a sample from Indeed.com for the job listing, and this is what they're asking people to do. You work with your design team and development teams to produce engaging, intuitive, enjoyable user experiences for end users. UX designer, you participate in product discovery, design, and delivery. You work closely with the client to understand the business needs and with end user to understand their goals. Working with the product owner, you develop a product vision, you craft the product solutions, present those to the design team, development team, end users, and stakeholders to collect feedback and iterate toward the best solution. That's the research phase. And you establish patterns and create familiar experiences that reduce the end user's cognitive load. So you make a more intuitive experience. You directly impact the lives of your team, client, and most definitely the end users. So that described pretty much all of the steps that issue discussed. Um, the requirements for someone in this field, they need to have some experience doing research and data to guide user experience recommendations. They have to have experience with prototyping, presenting design solutions, human-centered design, tools like Figma and Sketch, um, familiarity with front-end technologies, with the web, and then a portfolio with your design solutions. So it's an interesting job description, and what we hope you'll see is that um, you'll be able to satisfy a job description like that from the experience of this program. It opens up many skills. That one was UX designer. UX researcher was the subset of that, which involves testing those designs against user experiences, user feedback, and the iterative part of feeding back into that design loop. The UI designer, developer, combining those into the UX UI developer job is sometimes done. Um, then people who are in the web design or front end web design development um, also benefit from having understanding of the UI and UX. So all of these types of career paths are ways in through the UI and UX skills, and then they open up all of the other career paths that you can move up from. So I have a poll question for the audience, and this question, if you're on the streaming service, you can put A, B, C, D into your comments. But this poll asks, um, what has prevented you from taking up a course in UI and UX design up till now? Is it because you couldn't find a program that had that kind of comprehensive curriculum for all those different skills? Is it because you don't feel that you would end up with a practical experience in your portfolio? You find it difficult to learn through self-paced pre-recorded videos, or is it because your work schedule is too tight to let you have enough time for learning? We'll leave this open for a few more minutes. I mean, a few more seconds. I don't want to leave it open for half an hour. And the numbers have stopped changing. So, oh, they're coming in again. Please get your answers in the next 10 seconds. We'll then close the poll. Close it in 5. And here we go. So sharing the result, biggest concern people have is not getting the practical experience that they can demonstrate in a portfolio. And the next biggest is not finding a program that has the comprehensive curriculum that covers everything that Vishu had talked about. So let's move ahead, discuss the program from University of Massachusetts Amherst, the UI UX Bootcamp. It's a 5-month long program. It is completely delivered online, and we'll go over the curriculum shortly, but we'll demonstrate to you that it in fact covers all of the skills that Vishu talked about and that were covered in that job description. It includes the ability on the same platform to do your case studies, your projects, all of your implementation within a sandbox environment, a virtual machine that is provided to you. So you can do everything from your desktop or your laptop, and even much of the material that you can review on your mobile device. So you can access this platform 24/7 and do much of your work on your schedule whenever you have the available time. The only part that uh, meets a hard schedule that you have to adhere to is the class, live virtual classes that happen generally on a weekly basis. You have to attend those, and you do have to make a commitment for this program for around 10 to 15 hours a week of effort. But this is not the same as the traditional boot camp environment where you get locked in a room for 3 weeks and hopefully come out of it remembering some of what you learned. This is a much more um, interactive and much easier paced program so that you can, again, fit it into your schedule the way that fits your lifestyle. It gives you the online live virtual interaction with your instructors so that you can ask them questions live. You can follow along with their exercises. You can interact with your peers in the classroom. And then you have other uh, support platforms that allow you to interact with the other classmates and instructors outside of classroom hours. So this is a comprehensive program. It fits into your schedule and it lets you complete this process in 5 months. At the end of the process, you get a certificate issued by the University of Amherst, along with Simplilearn, that certifies that you have completed the core courses and demonstrated the skill set that you just acquired through hands-on learning, through projects based on industry type requirements, including a capstone, which we'll discuss in a few moments. But the instruction is delivered by top trainers, one of whom is a Microsoft UX designer. She comes in for one of the classes. And at the end of the program, you have additional period of career assistance that's available to you for 6 months after you earn your certificate to help you with your job search. Um, why the University of Amherst Isenberg School? The University of Amherst is a 130-year-old university, and its School of Management was founded in 1947. So we're 75 years about, and it's one of the top ranked U.S. universities. It ranks in the top 25 public universities in the United States. The program, uh, say the boot camp program, gives you UMass Amherst certificates, um, get master classes along the way, uh, alumni association membership, and you receive 3 credits transferable to an Isenberg online MBA program. So having UMass Amherst on your CV is a prestigious accomplishment. People will recognize the name of the university. Our eligibility and prerequisites are very straightforward. You only need to be 18 years of age or older with a high school diploma or equivalent. So this is not a postgraduate program, despite what it said on the previous slide. This is a boot camp program open pretty much to everyone. You do not have to have a minimum of any work experience, although we always recommend that it's best to have some work experience when you come into the program. Be familiar with how the skills of UI and UX fit into a flow of a organization. This is really doesn't intended for people who are entering into the design field, and also current designers who want to upskill and learn the newer techniques, a broader range of techniques for their work. So with that, I'm going to go to the next question, which is how much work experience do you currently have? Just to get a feel for who's in our audience. Launch the poll. So are you currently in school, or are you in the workforce, and how long? And this is not restricted to work in the UI UX design field, but any work experience. We'll leave this open for another 3 seconds. 2, 1. All right, and about 40% of our audience are folks who are still studying. Again, if you've got I'm presuming that means you are in university and therefore you have your high school diploma. And people in the workforce, our audience today tends to people with a bit more experience past the 5-year mark. So let's move on. And we'll talk about how the program prepares you. So Vishu and I will talk about how the program works, and then he will show how the learning management system operates. So Vishu, if you could discuss the curriculum that this program covers.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So this curriculum basically starts from a very basic level, I would say. Even if you don't have any experience with working in the UX and UI industry, this course will be a fit for you, because even if you have experience, that's good to have. But if you don't have any experience, we start from the very basic foundations. So we start with the orientation session, where you come to know how to attend the classes and how to access your LMS, and getting a little bit overview with the instructors. And then we start with the user experience design. We try to know the basic principles which are there in the user experience design, and what are the different processes or methodologies you can follow during the user experience design steps or process, you can say, as a job role. Then we talk about the user interface design, the UI designing, which is what the customers or the end users would see, and what are the design principles behind it. And then talking about the UI prototyping and styling. So the UI prototyping and styling talks about that how can you create a prototype of a workable design, which will be the end result. And we create the prototype in the UX process or in the UI process because we want to test as early as possible, so we can know whether the design is working, whether we are going in the right direction or not. So we do a lot of UI prototyping during the whole UX design phase. And with that UI prototyping, we also do some styling and getting the high fidelity mockups. And all this comes from a UX research, like we have already talked about it before, that you do a lot of UX research, you try to test with the users, you try to know what are the current problems of the users, and if whether our prototyping, whether our UI prototype is resolving those issues or not. And for that, we do the user testing. And at the end, you're going to have a capstone project, which would be a project to give you the real life experience of a UX project and a UI project. Plus, it adds to your portfolio. So by the end of the course, you would have something to present to the recruiters or to your clients if you want to work as a freelancer. So you want to have real world experience with the capstone projects in this course.
And as you can see, there's electives that are available. These are at
Yes.
no additional cost. They depend only on your interest and your investment of time. So if you want to take them, you're perfectly welcome to. They are not required to earn your certificate. They give you experience in building a website from the ground up, and also in the design thinking discipline that applies to UI UX, but also much of the other work that people do in the digital world today. So you saw in the job description, it mentioned Figma and Sketch. And can you tell us a little bit about these tools? Just a couple words about each one.
Sure.
Issue.
Yeah. So Figma, I think I would say the Figma is the industry leading software when it comes to UI designing and doing a bit of presentations on the UX. So Figma is a tool which is free to use, and almost any corporate company, or if you go to any MNC, they're probably using Figma for sure. So it's a kind of an essential tool to have it. If we talk about Blasmic, Blasmic is basically a wireframing tool. If you want to do quick wireframing for any screen, you can use Blasmic for that. I personally love Blasmic for wireframing. Then we have InVision. InVision is what's similar to Figma, and it also offers you a option to manage bigger projects. So if you're a team of, let's say, 100, 200, 300 people, and you want to create a design system and efficiently manage it, that's where you can use InVision. And Sketch have been a app of the year by Apple as well. It's a love tool by UI designers, people who use Mac, but it only works on Mac. And there are many more softwares in this industry you have as tools. We have Marvel, we have Pro.io. There are a lot of many tools we have. We work as a UX designer, but I think even if you just master 2 or 3 tools, that should be sufficient to basically get you going in the UI industry.
Yeah. And one of the great things about the program is that you aren't just exposed to the tools, but you're required to use them in your projects. And at the end of the process, when you claim that you have experience using Figma or Balsamic, you can demonstrate that. And all that ties together in the Capstone project, which happens at the end of this process, and ties together all of the different skills that you've learned in each of the courses leading up to the Capstone project can take 3 or 4 weeks, done under the mentorship of an instructor, somebody like Vishu, who will meet with you weekly and make sure that you aren't going down any dead ends or rabbit holes, that you're staying on track to solve the problem that you've chosen. And you get to select the problem for the Capstone project that you want to solve. It is based on an industry requirement. Pick a industry domain like e-commerce or that type of thing, and then you solve the challenge by building user experience and user interface that matches that challenge. Again, it's a 3 to 4 week project. It becomes essentially your final exam for the entire program. It's assessed, graded, and if it's successful, it shows that you have mastered all the skills. So each of the certificates or milestones that you achieve along the way in the courses then are confirmed with the success of the Capstone project. So at this point, I'm going to ask Bishu if he'll share his screen and show what the learning environment actually looks like.
Sure. So I'll just be taking you through the LMS and showing you how does the LMS and how do you access your course. So we are going to the LMS.simplilearn.com, as you can see here. And Once you enter into LMS, once you log in into LMS as a learner, you will see all your programs you are enrolled in. And probably once you enroll for the UX and UI course, it comes under master programs. And if I scroll down, as you can see, I have the UI and the UX expert course over here. So let's go to one of the programs. If you go to the program, uh, when we access the program, you have three options. One is the course itself, and it shows you how the course is divided into multiple modules, and it gives you the topic for each module over here. And as you complete the module, you will get certified in that particular module given there. Then we also have the electives here. So electives is kind of optional, and if you like to take elective for your self-development and learning some HTML, CSS3, JavaScript are essential uh, part for the development in the front end. So you can basically learn through the electives as well. Not compulsory, but you can do to enhance your knowledge. And then you have certification. So it shows you what certifications you have gained so far as per each module. And then of course you will have the master certificate at the end as well, which will be unlocked for you. And you will have a certification for your electives as well, as you can see here. Besides this, that's the certification can look a little different depending on the program you're enrolled in. And if you go back to the courses, in the courses itself, if we enter a particular course, let's say I'm going to the course over here, we'll say resume learning. I'm not really updating it here. And once you enter into the course, you have the self-learning tracks. In case the self-learning track is not available, like for example, it says this particular topic is covered in the live virtual classroom. That means it will be covered with the instructor. So most of the modules in the learning track for the UX and UI program are covered by the live instructors, as you can see here, and you can enter your live classes. Basically, you can see your live classes over here. And once you complete the learning, you will have a certificate over here unlocked for you. And if you go back, you will also have an option, whatever the instructor shares you with you during the course, you will have those PPTs, access of those PPTs in a soft format to be downloaded from here. So you can access them as well. Besides this, in the learning management system, you can take notes for your additional uh, notes. You can basically create notes within the LMS, and you can access the community. That's, I think, the biggest advantage of having this access to the LMS. With the community, you can basically talk to your peers. You can interact with the instructors and ask your queries in the forums. So as you can see, I can basically start a thread here, and I can basically connect like a forum with my peer learners. With those are part of this course basically. So it's a big community of people whom you can interact with and get your problems resolved as well. If you go back to the LMS, I'll just go back here, and all your courses will be included over here. You will also get your recordings over here. So if you have any live classes, maybe you missed it out or you want to go through it again, you can access the recordings or the sessions as well over here. And the industry experts will guide you throughout the course. A little course is complete, and you always have the option to contact the support at the Simplilearn if you have any issues with the LMS at any point of time.
Great. Thank you for that overview. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So as you can see from that, you're in the environment the whole time. You don't have to switch between systems. When you do your projects, you have a virtual machine that's part of that environment. So you're not having to juggle a lot of different tools. And that's part of our UI and UX design. So let me go back to the presentation. So we've covered the learning environment. Want to mention that the program is under the direction of John Wells, who is the Senior Vice Provost at University of Massachusetts Amherst, and he supervises the curriculum, he supervises the delivery. We are the delivery partner for them, so we provide the learning management platform and give them the tools to be able to have their instructors participate. Um, the instruction from this program is through industry experts. Um, here's an example of one of them. She teaches one of the classes, Arushi Tandon, who is working as a senior UX designer at Microsoft. So you're going to hear from people like Vishu, people like Arushi, who are working in the field and can tell you the practical ways to use the skills rather than just theory. We talk about learner outcomes, and to facilitate the outcome that you want to get from a program like this, we we assume that a number of you are looking for a new career, want to get into UI UX design field, or move up in your career path within the field. So we provide a career assist service as part of this program. Again, for 6 months after you earn your certificate, you have access to these services. Um, of course, include some expert webinars and career events that Simplilearn runs and are available to you for free, lifelong learning. Um, However, we also include the different projects that become part of your portfolio as part of the program. Um, so that's something you take with you lifelong and can demonstrate to show off your level of skill and expertise. And then the Job Assist services themselves come through a company called Talent Inc., our partner. So we give you access to their job portal, which has exclusive job listings, a valuable part of the service, certainly. I personally think that the other two parts are even more valuable. One is resume review and rewrite. The reason that's so valuable is that today, uh, unlike many years past, your resume is evaluated first by an AI filter, AI bot that will compare your resume to the job description set up by the company. Automated tracking system. Only the resumes that match that filter are going to get through to human beings. So the first step that your resume has to fulfill is matching up with the AI bot and being accessible to it so that it can easily determine, yes, this person has the correct uh, qualifications that match the um, job description. The second thing that the resume has to do is it still has to fulfill the traditional role of appealing to a human being once it lands on their desk or their screen. So the ability to meet both of these requirements is kind of an art form. That's one of the great things about the resume rewrite service is it helps you craft a resume that meets both of those objectives. Then the one-on-one interview service also has a two-part aspect to it. One is that you have to do interviews. If your resume gets in front of a human being who says, let's call this person in, that first level of interviews, which may be by phone, maybe by Zoom, maybe in person, will focus on your technical qualifications for the job description. You need to be able to present your skills and explain what your experience is and how this program has helped you build up this portfolio and even your ability to use the tools so that you can make the argument that you meet the job description of the type that the example we showed earlier. Then you have another set of interviews which have to do with team fit, with or cultural fit with the organization, demonstrating that you're the type of person that can work well with your manager and your team. So that level of interview also has to be very sharp, and the one-on-one interview prep service will also deal with that type of interview. So you'll be prepared to do both kinds of interviews and shine in both those so that you get the job. This is not a job guarantee program. This is a search assistance program. So you need to decide which of these services you want to avail yourself of and to what extent. Again, these are available to you for the 6 months after you earn your certificate. And to the extent that you want to use them and support your job search, they're available to you. We also have, as I mentioned, webinars which go on an ongoing basis. Simplilearn conducts these every week with topics about industry, looking at specific skills, occasionally doing a short course, a 1 hour lesson in a particular skill, talking about job, career skills, career development techniques, and even things like how to search a job board and get the best result. This is, again, free. It's available to you lifelong. And of course, your portfolio. These are some of the projects from this program that you can choose to do in order to do your capstone and fulfill your fill up your portfolio, excuse me, with your experience. So with all of that together, and with what Vishu and I have shared with you today, is this a program that you're interested in enrolling in? Ask that question real quick. Leave this open for about 30 seconds, but it's a yes or no, so it should be straightforward. And the numbers have stopped changing. I'm going to leave it open for 5 seconds for you to get the last answers in. Okay. And here's the result. More than 90% of people responding said they're interested in the program, so let's share with you how to do that. The enrollment is very straightforward. You email us at askus@simplilearn.net. What I will do right now is I'll put that information, email address, into the chat along with a link to the program page on our website. And let me share that with you in the chat. All right, there it is. You email us at askus@simplilearn.net. We review your application. Again, prerequisites are very straightforward, but mainly this is going to focus on your level of interest in the field of UI UX design. We are asking people to make a financial commitment and a commitment of time over the next 5 months. And so we want to make sure that people are setting themselves up for success, not doing this in a kind of a unserious manner. We want to make sure that people who commit to this fully commit and have the best chance of success. You'll receive an admission offer from us. Excuse me. Your next cohort starts January 25th with the orientation, and the classes themselves begin February 25th. The cost of this program is $8,000 US, which you can finance over time at $704 a month. That's zero cost financing. And if you are doing this for your current employer, you can ask about your employer's policies on tuition reimbursement to see if they will help you with the cost of the program. That's, again, your employer's policy, not part of UMass Amherst or Simplilearn. For more assistance, again, please reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net and answer your questions and get the process started for you. So at this point, I'm going to ask one more question before we go to questions and answers, which is, if you're interested in this program, how soon would you like to start? And we always say that if something is going to change your life and your career for the better, always better to do it sooner than later. Here we go. I think that's it. So I'm looking at about 50% of the audience wants to start either in this cohort that starts in January or the one afterward. And if you're looking further down the road, please do contact us at askus@simplilearn.net and keep track. We'll help you stay in the loop, learn about future cohorts. So with that, I'm going to go to questions and answers. I will stop sharing the screen because you don't need to stare at that slide. I will go to some of the questions here. Excuse me for a second. There we go. I changed color on this platform, so I apologize for being orange. We just have a few questions in the Q&A. Please, if you have additional ones, please put them in the Q&A. So Jan Carlos asks, how do you create databases with JavaScript, CSS, or HTML? Can you answer some of that for our issue?
Yeah, I think it's I think the databases are created in SQL and MySQL, or maybe you might use some different database. So JavaScript is basically a front-end scripting language, and CSS is basically cascading style sheet. So there are different technologies, and for databases, you need to learn about MySQL, SQL, and maybe Oracle databases, depending on the requirement.
Okay. We have another question, the only other one I see right now. So if you have other questions, please put them in. But the other question is, what type of experience does someone need to get a job in UI UX?
Okay. So first of all, I'd like to clarify here that UI and UX are not the same, not completely same, but they, however, overlap. Especially if you're going to
About
go
50%
to a
of the
startup,
audience wants to
they
start.
probably expect you to work as a UX designer also and a UI designer as well, side by side. Now coming to the experience, actually you don't need any experience. It's good to have experience as an internship, or if you have some experience in front end development or designing or in graphic design, that's always helpful for you. But with the program at Simplilearn, you're going to do a capstone project, which gives you a real life scenario examples of the UX project. So once you have a good portfolio, I think the portfolio is more important here. And if you have a good portfolio, you can get a job as a UI designer or as a UX designer, or maybe a combination of all of them.
Thank you for that. One of our attendees missed some of the opening. So I will tell you that we will be sending out an email with a link to this recording. And but the question that he has is, does UI UX mostly entail design work, or is it research and marketing, or does it vary from position to position?
I would say it varies from position to position, depending on at what role you are entering in as a UX designer or a UI designer. If you're a UI designer, your major work is related to the designing work. And if you're going as a UX designer, you'll probably be doing a research or doing a research in marketing. So you might have multiple roles in as a UX designer. So uh, the job roles vary from industry to industry, and what kind of an organization or what kind of a business process you're getting enrolled in. So it totally depends on that.
Okay. We'll take a quick look. So what is the cost? The cost, as we covered, is $8,000. That's the total cost, and the cost can be financed over time at $704 a month. We have a question. I'm not sure I understand the specific question, but what skills do I need to build PSO systems? Familiar with that term?
Sorry, it was, I don't really have experience with working with the PSO system. Probably it's for a particular industry. But to generalize this question, whatever systems you are building with, UX can be applied anywhere. So UX is just not about technology driven. UX is about you can apply this principle in any job role. And what kind of, doesn't matter what kind of a product you're building it. So once you learn UX as a skill set, you can apply this to build up your startup, to build up your business, or to solve any real world problem.
And I think our last couple of questions. PSO for wholesale. So yeah, I think basically, as you
Yeah.
said, the skills are transferable across different industries and applications. And so a great question here: how to apply as a fresher if most of the job descriptions and listings ask for experience? What will this program? I think you've sort of answered previously, but what specifically will this program bring to enable somebody to get a job as a fresher?
Yeah. I think that's very much true. So most of the companies look for experience, and there are multiple ways, especially in the UX and the UI industry, you can get experience. You can get experience by doing freelance projects, doing projects for your friends, or just taking some fictitious project and building a portfolio. And I think that's a great way to get started as a fresher and build your portfolio and gain experience at the same time. I think initially one thing which tell to my participants or my students when they are doing this program with me is that uh, don't focus on what you will get after doing a particular project. Focus on your learning initially, and once you put up your best in a project as a portfolio building project, you can surely get a job because you gain a lot of experience from that.
Okay. And that pretty much covers the questions we have. So I'll move on to the very last bit of the presentation. There. So we have just one last question. If you are interested in enrolling in the program, do you need? Okay, I'm going to ask you to bear back in a couple of moments with the poll. And waiting for my okay. Sorry about that. I'll launch the poll now. It's a quick question. If you're interested in enrolling in the program, do you need assistance from us, or are you ready to get started? Let's leave this open for a bit. Okay. And another 10 seconds. Here's the answer. So about 2/3 of you are interested in getting assistance from us. Do contact us at askus@simplilearn.net. Get those questions and get started. And the other aspect is if you're not quite ready, please do contact us as well in order to keep track, make sure that you're informed about future cohorts of the program and get any questions that you have answered. So with that, I want to thank everyone for being here. I'm going to put into the chat one more time the contact information, if I can find it. Hold on just a moment. It's going to take me a moment. Apologize. Okay, I'm putting this back into the chat for you. so that it's easily accessible. And you can also use the QR code to go to the page, the program page on our website. But do email us at askus@simplilearn.net. And at this point, I want to thank Vishu for being here, being so generous with
Thank
his
you.
time and his expertise. And I want to thank everyone who joined us in our audience, either on the streaming services or on Zoom. We hope we can welcome you into the learning community with the University of Amherst, University of Massachusetts at Amherst. And thank you again from the university and from Simplilearn. That concludes our webinar for today.